Welcome to 360. This week we are talking about Passover. And I'm going to share with you a teaching that I have shared many times over the years here in Tyler with my congregation. And it's not a teaching that I came up with, but it's so important to me as we enter into the holiday. When we get to the part of the Seder where we come to the 10 plagues, the custom is that we take our finger and we stick it in our wine cup or juice cup, and we take our finger for each one of the plagues and we take a drop away from our cup of wine and we put it into the napkin, or we put it onto a plate. So we say blood, the first plague, and we take a drop out. We say frogs or whatever, and we put the next drop out there. At the end of the 10 plagues, there are 10 drops of spilled wine on our napkin or on our plate or on our tablecloth sometimes. And then, of course, there are additional modern customs where we take additional plagues and we take away from our cup of wine. But what is going on here? Why does this custom exist? Because Judaism is very clear. Our redemption from slavery, our being freed from Egypt, had the Egyptians endure the hardships of the plagues. They had to endure the blood and the frogs and the lice and the locusts, and God forbid, the death of the firstborn. Our redemption didn't come cleanly. It came at someone else's expense. And we don't just blow that off as if it wasn't an important fact. We own it. We care about it. And we lessen our joy. We take away from our cup of joy. We take away from our wine in the middle of this Seder to remember this. There's a beautiful midrash connected that once the Israelites were on the other side of the Sea of Reeds, once they had crossed through the parted waters, they began to rejoice. And we know this from the text in Exodus, that they began to rejoice. The rabbis tell a midrash that the angels were rejoicing with the newly freed Israelites. And God, in this midrash, yells at the angels, "Why are you celebrating when my creatures are drowning?" Referring to the Egyptians who, after the Israelites had crossed through the sea, the Egyptians followed them on that dry land, and then the waters closed up over them. I always feel that God was yelling at the angels as the way for the rabbis to yell at the Israelites, to say, don't be joyful while God's creatures, the Egyptians, the horses, the livestock, are drowning. Yes, they were our taskmasters. Yes, they enslaved us for 400 years. But we do not take joy in other people's downfall. We do not take pride in their misery. We don't do it when we cross through the Sea of Reeds. We were wrong for rejoicing in that moment while they were drowning. And we were wrong for just enjoying our cup of wine at the Seder, remembering our redemption. No, we take away from that cup of wine. Whenever we have a moment of pride and joy and excitement and simcha, let's temper that a little bit with the struggle of other people, sometimes even our enemies. This humanizes us. This reminds us to be holier in moments of arrogance and boastful pride. It's what God would want of us. It's what we need of each other, to remember each other's suffering and to ritualize that suffering by taking away a little bit of our own joy. We should never walk around with rose-colored glasses as though everything is great. No, other people suffered in order for us to be redeemed. And for that, we take away some of our cup of joy. So when we come to the Passover Seder this week, let's think about that. Let's think about the idea that for us to build a holy world, we have to pull back a little bit of our joy and arrogance and pride, because we live in a world connected to one another. Even if our enemies are hurting, we care. God cares. God yelled at the angels. We take away some of our wine. May this Passover and this time of anxiety and continued coronavirus, may it be a time of joy. May it be a time of joy tempered by the struggle that we're all facing right now. I wish everyone a Chag Sameach, a happy Passover, a meaningful Passover, and I hope to see you again in this virtual space soon. Now go out and be Torah.